RoboCop, 2014, is a bold reimagining of Paul Verhoeven's 1987 classic, directed by José Padilha. This modern take trades in the satirical tone of the original for a more grounded, politically charged approach. Set in the near future, the film examines the intersection of man and machine, personal agency, and corporate overreach. The central plot revolves around Alex Murphy, a Detroit police officer who is critically injured in the line of duty and transformed into a powerful cyborg law enforcer by the multinational conglomerate Omnicorp. While the framework follows the familiar beats of the original, the 2014 version takes time to explore deeper philosophical questions. What does it mean to be human? Can morality be programmed? These are the threads that drive the narrative of this updated vision of RoboCop, setting it apart from its predecessor with a more serious tone and contemporary relevance. Cinematic. Joel Kinnaman plays Officer Alex Murphy with a sense of controlled intensity. His transformation into RoboCop is depicted with clinical precision, showing both the technological marvel and the psychological torment that comes with being stripped of autonomy. Early in the film, Murphy is portrayed as a devoted husband and father, adding emotional weight to his fate. When he awakens in his new metallic body, his horror and confusion are palpable. This emotional thread humanizes the film and allows viewers to empathize with a man caught between his duty, his identity, and the machine he's become. The moment where he sees what remains of his biological body beneath the armor, little more than lungs, a heart, a brain, and a face, is haunting and emblematic of the film's core dilemma: where does man end and machine begin? Kinnaman's restrained performance captures this inner conflict throughout, offering a nuanced interpretation of a character balancing humanity with cold programming. Cinematic. The visual effects in RoboCop, 2014, are sleek and modern, offering a polished yet somewhat sterile depiction of future technology. The transformation of Murphy into RoboCop is detailed with advanced CGI, presenting a body that is both impressive and unsettling. The black tactical suit, a significant change from the classic silver armor, reflects the updated militarized aesthetic of the 21st century. While the original had a bulky, industrial charm, this reboot opts for a streamlined, almost stealth-like look that speaks to modern design sensibilities. Action sequences are tightly choreographed and filmed with clarity, allowing the audience to follow each shot, move, and explosive moment with ease. Drone technology, robotic enforcers, and high-tech surveillance play key roles in the narrative, making the film feel timely and grounded in present-day conversations about privacy, automation, and militarization. Cinematic. Gary Oldman plays Dr. Dennett Norton, the scientist responsible for integrating Murphy's human consciousness with robotic technology. Oldman's performance brings emotional gravitas to the story, portraying a man torn between scientific advancement and ethical responsibility. Norton initially views Murphy as a patient in need of healing, but is quickly pressured by Omnicorp executives to compromise his principles for corporate goals. Through Norton, the film explores the morality of playing God, of altering a man's identity in the name of security and profit. One of the film's most powerful moments occurs when Norton decides to override RoboCop's autonomy, turning him into a mindless tool for public demonstration. This act of control, and the guilt that follows, becomes a central theme: the struggle between those who wield power and those who become victims of it. Oldman's nuanced portrayal allows audiences to feel the weight of these decisions, making him one of the film's most compelling figures. Cinematic. Michael Keaton portrays Raymond Sellers, the cunning CEO of Omnicorp. His character represents corporate ambition unchecked by morality. Sellers is not a cartoonish villain, rather, he is a calculated, media-savvy executive who truly believes that automating law enforcement is the key to a safer world. His motivations are rooted in a skewed idealism and profit, making him a reflection of real-world tech magnates who prioritize innovation over ethics. Sellers views RoboCop as a marketing opportunity, a way to introduce drones and robots into the domestic market by masking them with a human face. Keaton delivers his lines with charisma and veiled menace, portraying a man who manipulates public perception with ease. His interactions with Murphy and Dr. Norton highlight the tension between scientific integrity and corporate interest, a conflict that underpins the entire narrative of the film. Cinematic. The film's pacing is deliberate, especially in its first half, which spends significant time setting up its world. While some viewers may find the exposition-heavy opening slow, it allows for deeper character development and thematic exploration. The film's second half shifts into action, featuring shootouts, tactical raids, and RoboCop's hunt for corrupt police officers. The action is grounded, realistic, and tense, contrasting with the more explosive tone of the original. The reboot also explores the role of media in shaping public opinion, primarily through Samuel L. Jackson's character, Pat Novak, a television pundit who serves as the film's mouthpiece for political commentary. His monologues, delivered with righteous fervor, highlight how fear is used to justify authoritarian policies, echoing real-world parallels. This layer of critique gives RoboCop, 2014, a sharper edge and reinforces its status as a film that seeks to provoke thought, not just entertain. Cinematic. RoboCop's investigation into his own attempted murder becomes the emotional core of the film. As he reconnects with his wife Clara and son David, he begins to regain fragments of his humanity, memories, and emotions that were supposedly suppressed. These scenes, while less flashy than the action sequences, are among the most impactful. Clara, portrayed by Abby Cornish, is not just a background character, she fights for her husband's identity and agency, giving voice to the emotional consequences of Murphy's transformation. Her desperate pleas and emotional strength contrast powerfully with the cold logic of Omnicorp's objectives. Murphy's gradual reawakening is reflected in his body language, tone, and decision-making, culminating in a dramatic moment where he disobeys direct commands to pursue the truth. These emotional stakes elevate the narrative, making it not just a sci-fi action film, but a story about reclaiming humanity in the face of dehumanizing systems. Cinematic. The soundtrack, composed by Pedro Bronfman, complements the film's mood perfectly. The score blends atmospheric electronic elements with traditional orchestral cues, creating a sonic landscape that mirrors Murphy's duality as man and machine. Tense, synthetic pulses underscore scenes of corporate manipulation and robotic control, while more melodic, emotional themes play during moments of personal struggle. The music subtly supports the film's themes without overpowering them, providing an emotional undercurrent that helps guide the viewer through Murphy's journey. Sound design, too, is crisp and immersive. Every mechanical movement of RoboCop's armor, every bullet ricochet, and every drone hover adds texture and realism to the world. These technical achievements elevate the viewing experience and reinforce the film's commitment to portraying a plausible, near-future environment where surveillance, robotics, and biotech are tightly intertwined. Cinematic. As RoboCop delves deeper into his investigation, he uncovers a web of corruption within the Detroit Police Department, a plotline that connects the personal with the systemic. His former colleagues are not just passive bystanders, some are complicit in illegal dealings with organized crime. This revelation turns the narrative from a singular revenge mission into a critique of institutional decay. The concept that justice itself has been compromised creates a philosophical battleground for Murphy, especially as his programming begins to conflict with his moral compass. The internal struggle between code and conscience becomes more prominent, showcased in a pivotal scene where Murphy hesitates to obey an order that contradicts his values. This moral dilemma lies at the heart of RoboCop, 2014, and distinguishes it from many other action-driven reboots. The film does not present its protagonist as infallible. Rather, it shows that true heroism lies in the choice to resist control, even when every fiber of one's existence has been programmed to obey. Cinematic. One of the film's strongest aspects is how it addresses modern surveillance culture. With drones, facial recognition, and constant media coverage, RoboCop, 2014, mirrors real-world concerns about privacy and freedom. Omnicorp's vision of a safe society relies on omnipresent surveillance and militarized enforcement, echoing debates about security versus liberty. The film cleverly integrates these themes into its world building: street cameras that can profile individuals in seconds, AI that can assess threats before they occur, and a society that has slowly normalized these intrusions in the name of protection. Pat Novak's news segments are particularly striking, as they defend these systems with sensationalism and nationalistic rhetoric, warning viewers of the chaos that awaits without robotic order. These commentaries resonate powerfully in today's context, making RoboCop a cautionary tale dressed as an action film, one that asks audiences to question who really benefits when control is sold as safety. Cinematic. The emotional core of RoboCop, 2014, reaches its peak when Murphy is faced with the truth of how he was manipulated. A heartbreaking confrontation with his creators reveals the extent to which his free will was stripped away. Dr. Norton's admission that Murphy's emotional responses were suppressed algorithmically shows just how dehumanized he had become under the guise of efficiency. This realization triggers Murphy's rebellion, not against his programming, but against the system that sought to exploit it. In a particularly symbolic moment, he overrides his own neural restraints to confront Sellers directly, reclaiming the right to make decisions as a man rather than a machine. This climax, tense, personal, and powerfully acted, encapsulates the film's message. Technology must serve humanity, not replace it. It's not merely about defeating a villain but reclaiming the self, a theme that resonates deeply throughout the final act. Cinematic. The final battle is not a sprawling action set piece filled with excessive explosions. Instead, it is more intimate and ideologically driven. RoboCop storms Omnicorp headquarters not just with weapons, but with clarity of purpose. He confronts Raymond Sellers in a calculated act of defiance, and what follows is more than a shootout, it's a statement. Even as his systems begin to shut down, Murphy's humanity carries him through. The restraint in this final confrontation is notable. The film avoids falling into a generic blockbuster ending, choosing instead to emphasize personal agency and emotional payoff. His decision to spare certain lives, to prioritize justice over revenge, underlines his restored autonomy. When the smoke clears, Murphy is not fully healed, physically or psychologically. But he is once again a person, not a product. This closing arc gives the audience closure, while leaving the door open for reflection on where technology ends and human values must begin. Cinematic. The cinematography of RoboCop, 2014, is sleek and modern, utilizing a cool color palette of metallic blues and steely grays to reflect the clinical, corporate tone of the world. The cityscapes are depicted with sterile beauty, often showing environments from the eye of a drone or surveillance monitor, reinforcing the omnipresence of observation. In contrast, scenes with Clara and David Murphy feature warmer tones, emphasizing humanity and emotion. The contrast between environments, the home and the machine world, visually expresses the internal conflict within RoboCop. Camera movements are deliberate and precise, favoring medium and close-up shots that capture expressions and reactions rather than just spectacle. This directorial choice brings the viewer into the emotional space of the characters, particularly during scenes of struggle or decision-making. The cinematography, in conjunction with the sharp editing style, supports a narrative that's just as much about inner conflict as outer action. Cinematic. Despite its many strengths, RoboCop, 2014, did face mixed reactions upon release, largely because of the shadow cast by the original. Some critics felt the reboot lacked the biting satire and visceral grit that made the 1987 version a cult classic. However, it's important to view this film on its own terms. The 2014 version doesn't try to copy the original. Instead, it presents a reimagined universe that's more in tune with current geopolitical and technological anxieties. Where Verhoeven's film was a bloody commentary on 80s excess, Padilha's version is a reflection of post-9/11 surveillance states, corporate lobbying, and ethical debates about artificial intelligence. It's a different kind of dystopia, quieter, more polished, but no less chilling. And in that difference lies its strength. By engaging with modern issues rather than retreading old ground, the film establishes its own identity and relevance. Cinematic. The performances, technical achievements, and script of RoboCop, 2014, come together to form a film that is more cerebral than explosive. It asks difficult questions and doesn't always give easy answers. Can a machine learn morality? Should corporate interests govern national security? Is it ethical to use a man's body and memories for political purposes? These are complex issues that most action films avoid, but RoboCop dives into them headfirst. It treats its audience as thinking individuals and offers a story that is both emotionally resonant and intellectually provocative. The supporting cast, from Jackie Earle Haley's militarized tech handler to Jennifer Ely's pragmatic corporate PR rep, enrich the world with layered performances that reflect the shades of gray within the narrative. As a reboot, it's respectful to the original concept, but brave enough to take new directions. Cinematic. In conclusion, RoboCop, 2014, is a thoughtful and skillfully crafted science fiction film that goes beyond the expectations of a remake. It succeeds in delivering gripping action, powerful emotional beats, and timely social commentary. While it may lack the cult legacy of its predecessor, it compensates with a polished aesthetic and a more reflective tone. The film dares to question our relationship with technology, the role of ethics in innovation, and what remains of a man when most of him has been stripped away. With strong performances, particularly from Kinnaman, Oldman, and Keaton, the film balances personal stakes with larger philosophical issues. For fans of cerebral sci-fi and modern political thrillers, RoboCop, 2014, is more than just a reboot. It's a relevant, haunting, and emotionally satisfying journey into the future of law, order, and identity. Cinematic.